It's 8 p.m. at Nanshan Villa. When I got Grant's message, I quickened my pace and sent him a reply. Woof. The other side went silent for a long while. I raised an eyebrow, no way he could hold it in. Sure enough, the next second, my phone lit up with his call. His voice was deep and magnetic, but right now, a little hoarse. Come to my office. Now. Then he hung up. I stared at the dark screen for 2 seconds and couldn't help laughing. I was Grant's kept little songbird. People on the outside said he was ascetic, almost monk-like. Even during his heat cycles, he relied on suppressants. Any Omega sent to his bed would always be turned away untouched. He was known as the hardest alpha to get close to, but in private, he completely lost control around me. Still, I didn't expect him to call me to his office this time. I thought he'd skip work early. I was already ready to sneak out and risk my team leader's wrath. After all, Grant always kept his personal and professional lives strictly separate. Back when we first got together, I casually mentioned my professor wanted us to find a company to stamp our internship forms. Grant said I could come to his company. I thought he was into the idea of an office romance, something thrilling. Turns out, he really just meant it as a normal internship. At the company, he acted like he didn't even know me. I'd been working there for over a month, and no one had a clue I was sleeping with the boss. The more he pretended to be proper, the more I loved teasing him. Until finally, Grant couldn't hold it in anymore. It felt like he'd been waiting just for me. I had barely knocked when he yanked me inside with surprising force. Then that scorching hot kiss landed on me. Fast, fierce, one after another. From my forehead to my lips, then trailing downward. He bit lightly at my collarbone, not too hard, not too soft. Like he was punishing me for wearing a thick sweater today. Grant lifted his head slightly and looked at me. His voice was low and rough. Did you do that on purpose? I feigned innocence. What do you mean? I don't get it. He let out a short, breathy laugh, and the scent of his pheromones, cedar mixed with roses, slowly spread through the air, wrapping around me. My back pressed weakly against the door, my legs trembled uncontrollably. Grant just stood there, not touching me anymore, watching me with that teasing look. I knew it was a punishment. He was mad that I'd turned him on while wearing something that made things inconvenient. Unfair, really. How was I supposed to know he'd lose control in his office of all places? The pheromones were getting stronger, and I squirmed under the heat, barely holding back tears. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I glared at him, then lifted my sweater's hem and bit down on it. Grant's breath hitched, and that was it. Files scattered across the floor. He grabbed me by the waist and lifted me onto the desk. His gaze dark, his movements desperate. Through the haze, I heard him whisper, "Baby, I'm so in love with you." No one knew this side of him. To the world, Grant was cold, distant, and unreadable. But in private, he never held back from saying, "I love you." I never took those words seriously. When a man who's paying you says, "I love you," you'd be a fool to believe it. At first, he treated me well, kept me close, spoiled me. His light-colored eyes always soft with amusement. I really thought he liked me. Until that night, when everything came crashing down. That was the night I awoke. I realized this world was actually a romance novel, and Grant was the main character, the alpha protagonist who'd once had a lover, the true love, who vanished. Grant never got over it, and when he met me, an Omega who looked vaguely like that lost lover, he couldn't help but take me in. To him, I was just a stand-in. When he finally found out his arranged fiancée was actually his long-lost lover, my time would be up. Once I understood the plot, I actually felt relieved. While the real lover hadn't shown up yet, and Grant was still generous, I made sure to take everything I could. In less than a year, I'd gotten myself a house, a car, and over $1 million in savings. And to be fair, Grant was quite the catch. Sharp features, slightly mixed heritage, broad shoulders, narrow waist, perfect abs, long legs, standing nearly 1.9 meters tall. No wonder he was the main character alpha. As for me, just a broke college student with nothing but a pretty face. Honestly, it didn't feel like a bad deal. Thinking that, I smirked, hooked my arms around his neck, and kissed him. "Grant, doing this in your office, aren't you afraid your employees will catch us?" He paused, then looked at me deeply, pretending to think. "Yeah, I am. I'm afraid they'll see that I brought a naughty little pup to work, one who can't control himself and makes a mess everywhere." He said he was scared, but his movements only got rougher, and just as he spoke, a knock sounded at the door. "Mr. Grant, there's a document that needs your signature." Our eyes met. Grant grabbed me and shoved me under the desk. I crouched there, trying not to make a sound, while he switched back to that cold, businesslike tone and told the person outside to bring the file over. When When he lowered his head to look at the documents, he shot me a quick look, a silent warning to behave. I blinked at him mischievously and leaned closer. Grant's expression darkened immediately. He signed the papers in record time and dismissed the person in a calm, clipped voice. The moment the door closed, he reached down, yanked me out from under the desk, and straightened my clothes in a hurry. Then he grabbed my wrist and pulled me toward the door. It took me a second to realize what he was doing. Instinctively, I tried to resist. If I walked out of his office right after him, half the company would see. That would be social suicide. You go first, I hissed under my breath. It's almost time to get off work anyway. I'll sneak out later when everyone's gone. But Grant clearly wasn't listening. He tossed his suit jacket over my face and practically dragged me out the door. I froze in his arms, not daring to move. An older employee passed by and greeted him politely. "Mr. Grant, what's this?" Grant's voice was perfectly calm. He even had the nerve to squeeze my waist. "My boyfriend's shy," he said smoothly. "Doesn't like being seen." The office exploded. Whispers spread like wildfire, everyone pretending to be subtle but obviously gossiping. I didn't catch what they were saying. Grant had already led me away. But his words still echoed in my head. "My boyfriend? Seriously? Who's your boyfriend, Grant? Ever heard of boundaries?" I forced myself to stay calm, repeating in my head, "This is just a transaction. Nothing more. Get it together, John. Don't fall for his tricks. He's probably just using you to keep other people away." "Yeah, that's it. That's all it is." I kept chanting that all the way back to the villa. Once we got home, I pushed Grant toward the shower. He'd embarrassed me enough for one day. Time to even the score. While he was in the bathroom, I walked into the dressing room, whistling at the ridiculous collection of fancy clothes. He was taking forever in there, water running non-stop. Just a wall between us, I could hear every sound. And my body was starting to heat up. Great, perfect timing for my heat cycle. I might have been a low-grade Omega, but I knew how to play the game. The worse it got, the more I liked teasing Grant. When the bathroom door opened, he came out wearing only a towel around his waist, droplets sliding down his skin. His gaze locked on me immediately, and his breathing quickened. I was sitting on the floor, wearing a pair of fluffy dog ears and a matching tail, the leash of a soft collar held out toward him. I leaned closer, brushed my chin against him, my lips parting slightly. "Grant," I whispered, voice trembling, "I don't feel good, help me, please, mark me." Grant lost it. He didn't even bother drying his hair, just lifted me into his arms and carried me to the bed. His eyes were tinted red, his voice rough with emotion. "Baby, how are you always this irresistible? You're gonna be the death of me." I narrowed my eyes, not taking him seriously, and ran my tongue over my lips before giving a soft bark. This audio is originally produced by the YouTube channel, Omegaverse Tales Studio. Please credit when sharing. That made him laugh. His lips curved into a rare, genuine smile. "What's this?" he teased. "Didn't get enough of being my little pup during the day?" I didn't answer, just glared at him, frustrated by how talkative he was being tonight. He wasn't annoyed by the look. If anything, he chuckled softly. "Don't try to act cute," he murmured. "It won't work." But his tone had softened. I hated when he looked at me like that. With warmth, with affection. It made me lose focus. Made me wonder, just for a second, if Grant actually had feelings for me. But then I'd remember the truth. That I was just a substitute, a stand-in for someone else. I'd stolen a love that wasn't mine. The thought tangled my mind for a moment. Until he pulled me back, literally. The collar tightened around my neck. And he drew me into another kiss, stealing my breath. Before I could pass out, he finally let go, nipped at my ear, and whispered, "Stick out your tongue, like a good pup." I obeyed without thinking. Grant's breath hitched again, his voice low and rough. "God, you're too good at this. I really like you, John." I didn't remember what else he said after that. He never brought it up again, so I pretended it didn't matter. Still, there was something strange about the way he looked at me, almost wistful. I couldn't be bothered to figure it out. After cleaning up, I went straight to the office. The gossip about our boss was all anyone talked about, especially since Grant was usually so cold and untouchable. Everyone was dying to know what kind of saint could actually put up with him. I listened from the sidelines, pretending not to care, then quietly went back to my desk to sort files. By the time work was over, I finally felt a bit relaxed, until my team leader from the neighboring group, Gabriel, stopped me. Gabriel was an alpha in his 30s, already growing a beer belly, short, greasy, and always looking at people in a way that made your skin crawl. When I'd first joined the company, he'd tried to recruit me into his team, promising to take good care of me. Luckily, my own supervisor had refused. Now that my internship was almost over, he apparently couldn't wait any longer. He blocked my way, and a few coworkers nearby slowed down to watch. A couple of them elbowed Gabriel and snickered. "Come on, Gabriel, aren't you gonna say it? Yeah, don't keep the pretty boy waiting." I frowned, already guessing where this was going. Before I could walk away, Gabriel said, "John, I think we'd be good together. Why don't we give it a try? You're about to graduate, right? You'll need a job soon. I've got connections. I could help you find something nice." Before I could even reply, the crowd around us started chanting, "Say yes, say yes." They were loud, rowdy, not giving me a chance to speak. Even an idiot could tell this was all planned. Gabriel using his position to pressure me, counting on the fact that I wouldn't dare offend him. Too bad for him, I didn't play by those rules. "I don't think we're a good match," I said flatly, and turned to leave. The whole room fell silent. 8. Gabriel's face turned bright red with anger. He pointed at me and started yelling, "You think you're so special? You should be grateful I even looked your way. Who do you think you are to reject me? I only wanted to play with you because you look decent. Don't flatter yourself. You're just a defective Omega, worthless trash. If you dare walk out of this building today, I'll make sure you never find a job in this industry again. But if you get on your knees and beg me right now, maybe, just maybe, I'll let you keep a way out." That smug expression on his face actually made me laugh. I raised my hand, ready to throw my glass of water at him, but someone beat me to it. Gabriel was suddenly drenched, cold water dripping down his face. He looked furious, ready to shout, until he saw who did it. Then he went completely silent. I turned and saw Grant standing there. I didn't even notice when he arrived, and for a second, I was stunned. Grant's expression was blank, unreadable, but somehow, I could tell, he was angry, very angry. Gabriel, being completely oblivious, still had the nerve to ask, "Grant, what's the meaning of?" Grant cut him off mid-sentence. "You're fired. Get out." Gabriel went pale. He stared at Grant, then at me, realization dawning on his face. He shouted, "Because of him, because of John." Maybe it was just my imagination, but when Grant heard my name, his eyes softened for a split second before his expression froze over again. "Yeah, you got in my boyfriend's way." The entire office went silent. Everyone was stunned, including me. Was he out of his mind? Sure, it felt good to see Gabriel shut up for once, but hadn't Grant been pretending we were strangers for over a month just so no one would find out about us? Why was he suddenly announcing it now, and even giving me such a serious title? Even after he drove us home, my mind was still spinning. When the car stopped in the garage, neither of us opened the door right away. We just sat there in silence for a long time. Then, almost at the same moment, we both spoke. I said, "You didn't have to go that far. I could have handled it. You didn't have to lie for me." He said, "Why didn't you tell people you had a boyfriend? Am I that embarrassing?" The word boyfriend hit me hard. My pulse quickened. I froze for a second before blurting out, "What boyfriend? We're not." But I never finished the sentence. Grant's pheromones filled the air, so strong I could barely breathe. My whole body went weak, my mind hazy. Heat curled under my skin, familiar and overwhelming. I bit my lip, staring down in embarrassment. You're listening to Omegaverse Tales Studio, a YouTube channel dedicated to captivating short stories. Let's continue. Then he lifted my chin. Just before his lips touched mine, he murmured, "You agreed to be my boyfriend last night." What? Trying to back out already? What? Seeing my confusion, Grant paused, then smiled. "No problem. We can just do it again." 9. Grant carried me back to the bedroom. Thanks to his persistence, I finally remembered what happened. Before I blacked out last night, he did ask if I wanted to be his boyfriend. But that was it. I had no memory of what I answered. Grant, however, seemed determined to make that answer yes. If I hadn't, I had the feeling he would have kept asking, or worse. After that night, he treated me even better, except in bed. There, he was completely unrestrained. He played rough, pushed limits, and half the time I worried he'd actually break me. I ended up fleeing back to campus for 2 whole weeks, hiding under the excuse of finishing my thesis. The internship was over, and I passed my defense. Our dorm leader suggested a farewell dinner, and I agreed to join. 6 guys, 4 heavy drinkers. By 10 at night, I could barely stand. The dorm leader, who could still hold his liquor, went out first to get a cab. I stumbled behind him, the last one to leave. Under the yellow streetlights, I spotted a familiar figure. My blurry eyes focused, and I smiled. "Grant, you came to pick me up." Before he could answer, I threw myself into his arms. I pressed my head against his shoulder, rubbing gently against him. "I missed you, Grant," I murmured. 10. In that instant, all of Grant's fake indifference melted away. He ran a hand through my hair, his voice low and laced with a hint of complaint. "You've been avoiding me for so long, John." "Impressive. On my birthday, no less. You didn't come home, and instead you went out drinking. If I hadn't shown up, were you planning to stay out all night?" "Birthday?" It was his birthday. My head cleared a little. I'd been with Grant for over a year, and he'd never once mentioned his birthday. I figured he just didn't care, so I never asked. But now that he brought it up, I couldn't pretend I didn't know. Especially since this was our first birthday together as an actual couple. I checked the time and felt my heart sink. "It's already 10:30. The cake shops are all closed, and I didn't get you a present. I'm a terrible boyfriend." As I sighed, my hand brushed against something in my pocket, a red ribbon I'd forgotten about. I hesitated for a second, then smiled. I leaned up, kissed him softly, and tied the ribbon around my neck in a bow. My face was burning when I whispered, "A birthday needs a gift. So, how about me?" His answer was a deep, breath-stealing kiss. "Deal," he murmured. "Then you're mine, from now on. For life." "I mean it, John." 11. I'd had too much to drink, and the car ride made me dizzy. Since it wasn't far, Grant decided we'd walk home instead. He held my hand the whole way, saying nothing, but I could feel how happy he was. Still, I couldn't help thinking, it really was a shame there was no cake. Trying to make up for it, I tugged his hand playfully. "Next time, I promise I'll bake one myself, okay?" He glanced at me, eyes glinting with something unreadable. Then he checked his phone and said calmly, "There's still time." For cake. I didn't get what he meant, until we got home, and he spread whipped cream all over me. Just before I passed out, I managed to curse. "You maniac." He didn't get mad. Instead, he laughed, slipped something onto my finger, and kissed me again. "Yeah," he said softly. 12. No rush to go to school. I slept until noon, and by the time I woke up, Grant had already gone to work. I stretched and reached for my phone to order delivery, but froze. I looked down at the ring on my ring finger. Somewhere deep inside, something just stirred. These past few days had been so happy, almost unreal. From a caged canary to a proper boyfriend, publicly announced at the company, celebrated a birthday together, wearing matching rings, and every time Grant looked at me, it never felt fake. I even started doubting those old memories of the storyline. Maybe it had all been a nightmare. Yeah, maybe there was no plot at all. This world felt too real to be some novel. And the part about Grant marrying his first love? A lie, surely. Grant had never mentioned any first love, and I hadn't seen him planning to marry anyone. Thinking this, I felt a wave of relief. I opened the chat and sent Grant a voice message. "I love you too." It was my response to what he said last night. The moment I sent it, his call came through. "Waking up and not finding me, miss me?" I think he didn't expect me to be this direct. Grant was quiet for a moment, his breathing heavy. Finally, I heard him say, "I missed you too, baby. Come pick me up after work today. I'll take you to the beach for some barbecue." The barbecue never happened. The school told us to pick up our diplomas in the afternoon, and by the time I left, it was raining. As I tried to hail a cab to go see Grant, a strikingly handsome young man blocked my path. "Can we talk?" "My name's George." I froze instantly. My body went stiff. I didn't know how to react. George, that name. I knew it all too well. He kept appearing over and over in that storyline, Grant's first love, the one he was supposed to marry and spend his life with. Our eyes met. Unconsciously, I rubbed the ring on my finger, panic rising. 13. I followed him to a cafe near the school, half soaked from the rain, yet I didn't even react. George, by contrast, looked completely at ease. He even kindly ordered me a hot latte. I studied him in silence. Fragile-looking, almost frail, gentle features, slight upturn at the corners of his mouth, sharing a three-point resemblance to Grant, but his vibe was completely different. He looked like someone just recovering from a serious illness, pale but beautiful in a delicate, almost sickly way. His voice was soft, unthreatening. He and Grant, yeah, they did look like they could match. Suppressing the bitter taste in my chest, I sipped my coffee and asked lightly, "Why did you want to see me?" The cafe was quiet. Only the clinking of spoons against cups filled the space. George lowered his eyes, lips pressed thin. His body trembled slightly. "I know you're with Grant now. I came to tell you that Grant has always seen you as my substitute. We were each other's first love in college, but my health was always poor. In sophomore year, I had a car accident. I couldn't walk for a while, and I fell into depression. I couldn't face myself, so I secretly went abroad for treatment. I had my family tell Grant I died. I thought if I recovered, I could come back and surprise him, and we'd be together again. If I didn't, I would die. I would never let Grant see me like that, but I was wrong. It took me years to recover, and when I came back, he had someone else by his side. Someone who looked a lot like me. I was happy he hadn't forgotten me, but I was terrified he might truly fall for you. I've been observing you two for a month, telling myself over and over that what's missed is missed, but I can't accept it. Just thinking that Grant's future belongs to someone else drives me insane. I can't live without Grant. Please, give him back to me, okay? By the end, George's voice was cracking with tears. He really looked fragile, like a porcelain doll. One wrong touch and he'd shatter. I remembered his character profile from the story. Despite being an Omega, he had everything it took to rival the strongest alphas. Without that accident, he might have been a peerless prodigy like Grant. But now, he seemed small, pitiful. My chest ached. When I spoke again, my throat felt hoarse. What if I don't? 14. Why me? Why am I always the unlucky one? Abandoned by my parents as a child, the orphanage head who raised me died too. I finally got into college, only to be hounded by a bunch of crazy debt collectors claiming I owed for my father's gambling debts. My father's a gambler. He owed them a fortune, and if he didn't pay, they'd show up at my school every day. God damn it, where the hell was my father all those years? For 18 years, he vanished without a trace. Then, suddenly, money owed, and now he remembers he has a son. Because of these thugs, no one at college dared to befriend me, too afraid of trouble. Then I met Grant. He pulled me out, treated me well, even said he liked me. I thought my luck had finally turned, that I had a home. And then, the absurd storyline showed up. Fine. I'll just keep my heart in check. I'll stay a good little canary, not asking for anything I don't deserve. But the expected plot didn't happen. Just as I let go, thinking nothing would go wrong, and started giving my love to Grant wholeheartedly, George shows up, giving hope, only to kick me back into the mud. Really fun, huh? 15. It felt suffocating. I told myself to gamble one more time. Bet that Grant truly loved me. Bet he wasn't lying. Bet he meant it when he said he wanted me by his side forever. I've always been unlucky, used to it. But just this once, I wanted to win. Just once. Please. Seeing that I wouldn't give in, George's fingers turned white gripping the spoon. His eyes were red and raw, as if he'd suffered some unimaginable grievance. He stayed silent for a long moment. As I stood to leave, George's low voice came from behind me. You won't win. Grant is mine. It's fate. If you don't let him go, I'll take him myself. And John, don't forget, you're just a substitute. I'm giving you the chance to let go with dignity. The news of my arranged marriage with Grant is already online. The wedding is set for next month. If you don't want to be thrown out by Grant, you'd better cooperate. Oh, and today, Grant knows I came to see you. If the wedding news had shaken me, that last line was the final blow. Grant knew. He knew George came to see me. Maybe he even deliberately let George push me away to avoid a direct confrontation. But this morning, he told me he missed me and asked me to pick him up from work. Was that all lies? I couldn't believe it. I called Grant over and over. Always unreachable. I checked the local news again. There it was. Another report about the imminent arranged marriage between the Pei and G families. This story is exclusively produced by the YouTube channel, Omegaverse Tales Studio. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe. Ha! Funny. Liars. All of them, damn liars. 16. I ignored George and walked straight out of the cafe. It was still drizzling outside. The sky was gray and oppressive, making my head feel heavy and messy. I wasn't paying attention and slipped. My knee hit the ground first. It bled. Blood ran down my pants and dripped onto the pavement. My face went pale, fists clenching tight. But the bleeding wasn't from my knee. 17. The thought hit me, and I closed my eyes, feeling even more embarrassed. Luckily, the hospital was close. After the checkup, I held the report in my hand and recalled what the doctor had said. Nothing serious. The bleeding is due to emotional stress and the fall. I'll prescribe some medicine to stabilize you. Don't worry, the baby is fine. Baby? Someone, please explain. How could I, a low-grade Omega, even be pregnant? I didn't understand, so I asked directly. The doctor said that theoretically, low-grade Omegas shouldn't get pregnant, but in reality, especially with a top-tier alpha as a partner, there's a very small chance it could happen. The implication was clear. This baby wasn't easy to come by. If I terminated it, there probably wouldn't be another chance. I sat on the hospital bench, unconsciously resting a hand on my belly. The baby was only 2 months along, still flat and unnoticeable. I closed my eyes. Maybe this was fate, pitying my loneliness, sending a little companion just for me. Not too bad, then. If the man was gone, he was gone, but the baby would always be mine. After collecting my thoughts, I took a taxi home and packed my things. Before leaving, I glanced at my silent phone and sent Grant a message. Happy wedding. Let's break up. Then I blocked him. I even removed my SIM card and tossed it aside. I had my diploma in hand. Graduation ceremony, didn't matter. I counted the money Grant had given me. Not bad. A few million, enough to live freely in a small city for life. I left. Naturally, I had no idea that Grant went crazy looking for me that night. 5 years later, I saw Grant again on a financial news report. In the video, he wore a black suit, expressionless, looking colder than ever. After professional questions, came the private ones meant to satisfy viewers' curiosity. Mr. Grant, do you have someone you love? Yes. Really? How long have you liked him? 6 years, maybe longer. The host was surprised, then pressed on. You've liked him for so long, then why aren't you married? On screen, Grant gave a bitter smile. He rubbed the ring on his finger. Because I couldn't find him. The interview ended there, but my heart was a mess. I didn't want to assume, but my mind couldn't help replaying his every word, every nuance. Every bit sounded like he was talking about me. And from what he said, Grant wasn't married. I thought he was supposed to be marrying George. How could he not be married? At that moment, the door knocked. Before I could open it, I heard Dylan shouting, "Daddy, open the door. Come see who I brought back." Dylan, my son. He looked like Grant, a little mixed-blood cutie. His personality was all mine, mischievous, talkative, full of antics. Hearing he had found someone again, I groaned. At 2, he had rescued cats and dogs. At 3, on his birthday, he brought home a 7 or 8-year-old boy, claiming he was his child bride. I told him, the boy is male, you can't have a child bride. Dylan just blinked, hugged the boy, kissed him, and looked at me proudly. You lied. Grant is male. And you're still with him, aren't you? And now you have me. After much convincing, I finally got the boy back home. Less than a year later, again, I opened the door, scolding Dylan. Didn't I tell you not to bring people home? Why won't you listen? Dylan ignored me completely, bouncing with excitement. Daddy, look who I found for you. You said Grant was dead, so he couldn't live with us. But he's alive, so I brought him. I froze. 19. I looked up to meet Grant's half-smile, half-smirk. I swallowed hard and instinctively took a step back. Grant crouched down and patted Dylan's head, his expression unusually gentle. Be a good boy, go play, okay? I need to talk to your dad. Dylan tilted his head. He looked at me, then Grant, then giggled, covering his eyes. I know. You two are going to kiss, right? Little Chubby says every time his parents leave him alone, it's to kiss. I'll leave now, won't peek. My headache just doubled. Is this really my son? Selling out his dad this fast? He said he wouldn't peek, but his fingers barely hit his eyes. I sighed and led Grant into the bedroom. As soon as we entered, Grant locked the door. My body tensed instinctively. I heard Grant laugh. I'm dead. When did I die? How come I didn't know? After Dylan started kindergarten, seeing other kids with their parents picking them up, he'd run back to ask me. Once or twice, I could brush it off. But too many times, meeting Dylan's innocent eyes, I couldn't tell him his father was married to someone else. I had to lie, saying his dad was dead. To make it believable, I even showed him a photo of Grant. I thought a kid would forget, just a one-time thing. But Dylan remembered, and brought him back. I looked away, annoyed. None of your business. Grant laughed in disbelief. He had to turn his chin to meet my gaze. After seeing the sadness in his eyes, I couldn't bring myself to tell him to leave. John, you're ruthless. You left me for 5 years without a word. If I hadn't come to L City on business and met Dylan, I wouldn't even know my son had grown so big. I've been searching for you, nearly went crazy. 20. By the end, Grant's eyes were red. I felt a knot in my chest. All these years, I had deliberately avoided checking any news about him online, afraid I'd still miss him. But every birthday, I couldn't help scrolling through our old photos on my phone, wishing him a happy birthday. I couldn't forget him. But thinking about George, I calmed myself. You were about to marry into George's family. What was I supposed to do, wait for you to kick me out? Besides, didn't you have George come tell me to leave? I don't know what happened between you two these past 5 years, or why you didn't get married. I only know I'm a substitute. I can't compete with him, and I didn't want to embarrass myself. Okay. I brushed his hand off my chin and reached for the door, ready to send him off. Before I could touch the handle, Grant lifted me by the waist. My face instantly flushed. I struggled. Grant, let me down. Are you crazy? The next second, his familiar scent flooded the room. My strength drained. My body heated up. After all these years of abstinence, just one whiff of Grant's pheromones set me off. My wrists were pinned above my head. I was trapped beneath him, unable to move. Grant stared at me for 2 seconds, then started raining kisses down on me. Finally, as if venting, he bit heavily into my collarbone. I'm a mad dog, you've known that all along. John, I regret it. I should have never let you be my boyfriend. My heart throbbed. I struggled harder, hissing through gritted teeth. What are you doing now? Raging mad dog? Grant, you liar. Using me as a substitute, playing with my feelings. I hate you. Get off, MMPH. My words were cut off. The metallic tang of blood filled my mouth until I bit him back fiercely, finally earning release. Grant ran his fingers over my swollen lips, then leaned in to kiss me again. I never treated you as a substitute. You've never been anyone's substitute. You're my lover. 21. Grant paused, his voice growing obsessive. I should have kept you as my canary all along. You're so innocent. As long as I gave you money, you wouldn't run. At least if your conscience got to you, you'd talk to me about ending the contract first. Then I could have kept you in the bedroom, using my pheromones on you every day. You wouldn't have gone anywhere, you'd beg me to mark you. As for George, I never liked him. The marriage rumor was my uncle's doing, a cooperation with George's family. Remember Gabriel, the office guy who gave you trouble? He was planted by my uncle. I'd wanted him out of the company for a long time. You just happened to fire him, which pissed off my uncle. He wanted to cause me trouble, so George came to him, and he agreed. No wonder the afternoon you ran. He kept pulling me into conversations and even smashed my phone. By the time I realized and wanted to explain, you were gone. And wished me a happy wedding. John, you left. Who am I supposed to celebrate a wedding with? I froze mid-struggle, staring at Grant in disbelief. So George isn't your first love? Grant snorted, like I'd said something ridiculous. What first love? What nonsense, are you reading a novel? Sure enough, I'd been running heartbroken for 5 years, and George had been playing me. Grant, clearly still angry, didn't stop. His hands started moving lower. If you hadn't run this time, I wouldn't have known how little you trust me. How are you going to make it up to me? I knew I was in the wrong. I licked my lips and wrapped my leg around his waist. Then, husband, hurry and mark me. Grant's eyes darkened. He lowered his head, pressing his lips to mine. 22. After the frenzy, I lay in Grant's arms, gasping. He didn't seem satisfied. He held my fingers, kissing them while coaxing me further. Thinking of dismissing me already? I've been searching for you for 5 years. Baby, I'm a businessman. I hesitated, testing him. Then, should I chase you? For 5 years too. Fine, but we have to marry first, or I won't feel safe. 23. Using the excuse of getting to know my home, Grant stayed with me for nearly half a month. During the day, after dropping Dylan at kindergarten, he stuck by my side. He explored every corner of the house with me, bathroom, sofa, desk, nothing was spared. Exhausted, I slept. When I woke, we were back in the villa where we had once lived together. Dylan went to a new kindergarten. During the day, it was just the two of us. Still nervous from my last escape, Grant moved most of his work home. Only after we went to get our marriage certificate did he return to the office satisfied. Curious, I asked, what happened to George? Grant only sneered. In the mental hospital. I sent him there myself. I wanted to know how that story had unfolded, so I asked Grant for the hospital's address and went alone. He didn't stop me but sent a driver. George had a single room. Even before entering, I heard him screaming. What did you say? They're together again. Why? Didn't you change the plot? I even leaked it to John. He ran. How could he meet Grant? Grant is mine. Mine. I tried so hard to make my face resemble John's when I appeared before him. Why is it still like this? 3 times. I've done this 3 times. System, are you trying to trick me, not letting me be with Grant? No, this isn't right. The ending shouldn't be like this. I want another chance. System, I want another chance. Where are you? Answer me. I stopped listening after that, knowing it was all his scheming was enough. 24. It rained again on the way home. I sat in the car, watching familiar yet strange scenery pass by. It felt like 5 years ago, the day I ran, gray and drizzling. I told the driver, don't go home, go to Grant's company. When we arrived, Grant was just leaving the building. I ran to him under the umbrella and kissed him. Picking you up from work. He seemed to realize something, pausing, eyes glistening. Okay, let's go home. Even if the plot had been forcibly altered, the mad dog's love remained eternal.